And I think we're now going to go to a question from Ukraine.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Daria Kaleniuk. I had Anti-Corruption Action Center from Ukraine. I passed the border a couple of days ago. I'm from Kyiv. Most of my family, most of my team members are still in Ukraine, in Kyiv, in Lviv. A woman from my team is now in Bila Tserkva, and she is there with 2 kids, and Russian military is over there, and she's so much afraid that she will be shot. Kharkiv, the city where I was studying, was bombarded today, fully, the downtown square. So you're talking about the stoicism of Ukrainian people, but Ukrainian women and Ukrainian children are in deep fear because of bombs and missiles which are going from the sky. And Ukrainian people are desperately asking for the West to protect our sky. We are asking for the no-fly zone. We are saying in response that it will trigger World War III. But what is the alternative, Mr. Prime Minister? To observe how our children are, instead of planes, are protecting NATO from the missiles and bombs? What's the alternative for the no-fly zone? We have planes here, we have air defense system in Poland, in Romania. NATO has this air defense. At least this air defense could shield the Western Ukraine, so that these children with women could come to the border. It's impossible now to cross the border. There are 30 kilometers of lines. Imagine crossing the border with a baby or with 2 children. I'm so glad that Samantha Power is coming here to the border from the Polish side. Let her come to the border from Ukrainian side and see that. Britain guaranteed our security under Budapest Memorandum. So you're coming to Poland. You're not coming to Kyiv, Prime Minister. You're not coming to Lviv. Because you are afraid. Because NATO is not willing to defend. Because NATO is afraid of World War III. But it is already started. And these are Ukrainian children who are there taking the hit. You're talking about more sanctions, Prime Minister, but Roman Abramovich is not sanctioned. He's in London. His children are not in the bombardments. His children are there in London. Putin's children are in Netherlands, in Germany, in mansions. Where are all these mansions seized? I don't see that. I see that my family members, that my team members are saying that we are crying. We don't have where to run. Well, this is what is happening, Prime Minister.
Well, thank you very much for your questions, and thank you for getting here today. And I'm glad that you have been able to get here. And look, I just want to say that I'm acutely conscious that there is not enough that we can do as the UK government to help in the way that you want. And I've got to be honest about that. And when you talk about the no-fly zone, as I said to Volodymyr Zelensky, I think a couple of times, unfortunately, the implication of that is that the UK would be engaged in shooting down Russian planes, would be engaged in direct combat with Russia. That's not something that we can do or that we've envisaged. And I think the consequences of that would be truly very, very difficult to control. What we can do is all the things that we are doing already, and providing as much help and support to the Ukrainians as we can. And amongst other things, the UK is intensifying our support, not just for Poland, but for the Baltic countries and for all NATO's eastern frontier. And if Putin thinks he's going to get less NATO, he's going to push back on NATO as a result of this action, he is going to be gravely disappointed. All that's happening as a result of what he is doing is that he is strengthening the resolve, not just of the Ukrainians, but the resolve of the West as well. And to get back to your fundamental question about why isn't the West actually coming and giving direct military support? Well, basically for the reasons that I've given. But I think you will also accept that the crisis, the tragic crisis of the Ukrainians is moving governments and peoples, think of the Germans, think of the EU, to do things that would hitherto have been unthinkable. And that is a measure of the sympathy that Ukraine is currently evoking around the world. And I have no doubt that that sympathy is going to be so strong and going to grow that people will not rest, as I've said, until this injustice is reversed and Putin is seen, not just fails, but is seen to have failed in Ukraine. And I think the whole international community will work together to ensure that your family, are able to live in a sovereign and independent Ukraine. And I'm sorry it's going to take time, I'm sorry it's going to be difficult, and I'm sorry for all the tragedy and suffering that you've experienced. But thank you very, very much for coming today and asking your question. I think everybody here has really appreciated it. Thank you. Okay. Okay, folks. Thank you. Thank you.